Gregory Barnes stood at his apartment window, watching the rain fall on the city streets below. The letter in his hand promised something he hadn't felt in years: purpose. After leaving the Marines 3 years ago, he had drifted between security, jobs that never quite fit. Now this strange offer had arrived. A position with the Galactic Penitentiary Administration. He read again, still not quite believing it. The paper was odd, slightly too thick with a sheen that no Earth paper had. It was real. Aliens wanted to hire him. Gregory ran his hand through his short brown hair. He was 34, with nothing holding him here. His marriage had ended during his second tour. No kids, no pets. Just an apartment with bare walls and too many memories. He picked up his phone and called the number on the letter. 2 days later, Gregory sat in a hotel conference room with 19 other humans. Some looked like military, the straight backs, and watchful eyes gave them away. Others seemed softer, but all had an edge to them. The woman beside him had introduced herself as Olivia Martinez. She had brown skin, curly black hair cut short, and hands that showed old scars. Former Army Ranger, she had said when they shook hands. You? Marines. 3 tours. She nodded, a simple acknowledgement between people who understood certain truths, without needing words. A tall man with salt and pepper hair sat on Gregory's other side. Daniel Johnson, he said quietly, used to work SWAT in Chicago. Before they could talk more, the door opened. Everyone in the room fell silent. The being that entered was not human. It stood nearly 7 feet tall, with a body covered in blue-black, feathers that shimmered with hints of green when it moved. Its face had a short beak and its eyes were large and golden, moving independently like a bird's. It wore what looked like a uniform, silver with blue markings. "My name is Zix Voon," the alien said in perfect English, though its beak didn't move in ways that matched the words. "I am the warden of Tartarus Station. I thank you all for considering our offer." A smaller alien entered behind the warden. This one had pale skin that looked like stone and 4 arms. It set up a device in the center of the room that projected a large 3D image of what looked like an asteroid with structures built into it. "This is Tartarus Station," Warden Zix Voon said. "The most secure prison facility in known space. We house over 10,000 inmates from more than 300 different species. All are dangerous. All are serving long sentences for serious crimes." The image zoomed in to show the inside of the station, cell blocks, security stations, common areas. Gregory noticed how thick the walls were, how many security checkpoints existed between sections. "For the past 3 years, we have faced a problem," the warden continued. "Guard casualties have risen to unacceptable levels. We have tried security personnel from 47 different worlds. None have been effective enough." Daniel Johnson raised his hand. "So you decided to try humans? Why us?" The warden's feathers ruffled slightly. "Your planet is classified as a Class 12 Deathworld." The room stayed quiet, but Gregory could feel the confusion. The warden seemed to notice. "Let me explain. Planets are rated by how hostile they are to life. A Class 1 world is paradise. Perfect conditions, few predators, mild weather. Most advanced species evolved on worlds rated Class 1 to Class 4. The stone-skinned alien changed the projection to show Earth, beautiful and blue. Earth is Class 12. The gravity is crushing to most species. The temperature swings would kill most beings. Your oxygen levels are what many consider toxic. Your world has an unusual number of natural disasters: earthquakes, hurricanes, floods, fires. Your plant life produces poisons. Your simple insects could kill visitors from other worlds. Your bacteria and viruses are extremely aggressive. Warden paused, looking around the room. "And yet you evolved there. Not just survived, but became the dominant species. That makes humans special." Kimberly Wright, a woman with blonde hair tied back in a tight bun, spoke up. "I'm not military, I worked in prison administration. Why am I here?" "Because we need different perspectives," the warden answered. "Tartarus is not just about keeping prisoners in cells. We try to rehabilitate when possible. Your background, in psychology and prison systems will be valuable. The next 3 hours were filled with information about the job. The pay was extraordinary, enough to set them up for life after a 5-year contract. They would get apartments on the station, full medical care, and 60 days of leave per Earth year to return home if they wished. They would also receive neural implants to understand all languages spoken in the prison, specialized armor designed for human physiology, and full training on alien biology and prison protocols. As the meeting ended, Gregory had one last question. You still haven't really explained why humans. What makes us better suited than other species with more advanced technology? Warden Zix Voon's golden eyes fixed on Gregory. Something in that gaze made him think of ancient things, of predators, watching from shadows. Mr. Barnes, what do your people know about evolutionary psychology? Gregory shrugged. Some basics. Why? Most intelligent species evolved from prey animals, herd creatures, grazers, creatures that survived by running away and staying in groups. The warden's feathers shifted color slightly, darkening. This shapes how their minds work even after millions of years of civilization. And humans? Olivia asked. Humans evolved from persistence hunters, creatures that chased prey until it collapsed from exhaustion. Predators, Mr. Barnes. Not the strongest or fastest predators, but perhaps the most determined the galaxy has ever known. The warden's voice lowered. That leaves marks on a species, marks that others can sense. 1 month later, Gregory stood on the observation deck of a ship called the Stellar Voyager, watching as they approached Tartarus Station for the first time. The massive asteroid hung in space, lit by the glow of twin stars nearby. Structures jutted from its surface like metal growths, and ships moved around it like insects around a hive. Olivia stood beside him. Over the past weeks of travel and training, they had become friends. All 20 humans had grown close, bound by their strange new situation. Ready to start our new jobs? She asked. Gregory watched as they drew closer to the station. He thought about the warden's words, about Earth being a death world, about humans being predators. I'm ready, he said, but I don't think they've told us everything about why we're here. Olivia nodded. Did you notice how some of the crew look at us? Not the usual curiosity about meeting aliens. Something else. Fear, Gregory said quietly. They look at us like we're something to be afraid of. The ship's engines changed pitch as they began docking procedures. Gregory Barnes, former Marine from a death world called Earth, prepared to step into his new role as a guard in the most dangerous prison in the galaxy. He didn't know it yet, but the inmates of Tartarus Station were already aware of the humans' arrival, and they were afraid. The docking bay of Tartarus Station was huge and busy. Ships of all sizes moved in and out, bringing supplies, new prisoners, and staff. Gregory and the other humans stepped off their transport, carrying small bags with personal items. Everything else they would need was already at the station. A group of guards waited for them. These aliens were tall with gray skin that looked like rubber. They had 4 arms and wide, flat faces with 3 eyes arranged in a triangle. They wore black armor with glowing blue lines. Welcome to Tartarus Station, said one of them. Its voice came through the translator implants the humans had received during their journey. I am Security Chief Miraz. Follow me. The humans walked in a group through large metal doors that hissed as they closed. The gravity felt slightly lighter than Earth's, making Gregory feel bouncy with each step. The air smelled clean but different, slightly sweet with a hint of something like cinnamon. Chief Miraz led them through wide corridors where other aliens moved aside to let them pass. Gregory noticed how these beings looked at the humans, with quick nervous glances before hurrying away. They act like we're dangerous, whispered Olivia as they walked. Maybe to them we are, Gregory replied. They arrived at a large room filled with lockers and benches. Suits of armor stood in rows against one wall. Unlike the black armor the station guards wore, these suits were dark blue with red markings. Your armor, Chief Miraz said, designed for human physiology. The materials will help your bodies handle the different sections of the prison. Some areas have gravity, atmosphere, or temperatures that humans would find challenging without protection. Each human was assigned a suit, fitted to their measurements. Gregory put his on with help from a tech specialist, a small green alien with 6 fingers on each hand. The armor was surprisingly light and moved easily with his body. The helmet has enhanced vision modes, the tech explained. The chest plate monitors your vital signs, the boots can grip in 0 gravity, and the whole suit can protect you from moderate radiation, extreme temperatures, and most physical attacks. Once they were all suited up, Chief Mraz took them to their living quarters. Each human had a small apartment with a bedroom, bathroom, and living area. The furniture looked strange, clearly designed by beings with different bodies, but it was comfortable enough. Rest tonight, Chief Mraz told them. Tomorrow you begin orientation. Orientation lasted 5 days. The humans learned about the prison's layout, security systems, and protocols. They were taught about the different species they would encounter, both staff and prisoners. They learned how to use the station's computer systems and communication devices. On the 6th day, they were split into teams and assigned to different sections. Gregory, Olivia, and Daniel were placed together and assigned to Block 7, which housed medium-security prisoners from oxygen-breathing worlds. Their supervisor was Assistant Warden Krell, a silicon-based life form that looked like a walking crystal formation. Krell's voice came from a small device on what appeared to be its chest. Block 7 has 243 inmates from 22 different species, Krell explained as they walked toward their post. Most are here for theft, fraud, or violence that did not result in death. Average sentence is 15 Earth years. As they approached the cell block, Krell stopped and turned to face them. You will notice the inmates react strangely to you, it said. Most species find humans unsettling. Why? Asked Daniel. The crystal being seemed to shimmer slightly. It is difficult to explain. There is something in how you move, how you look at others. Most species evolved to avoid predators. Humans did not. With that cryptic comment, Krell led them into Block 7. The cell block was a large open space with 3 levels of cells along the walls. Each cell had a transparent front that Gregory guessed was some kind of force field. In the center of the space was a common area where inmates could socialize during free periods. About 50 aliens of various shapes and sizes were in the common area. Some sat at tables, others stood in groups talking. All activity stopped when the humans entered. Gregory felt the weight of every eye on them as they walked through the space. The silence was uncomfortable. Just a normal patrol, Krell instructed. Walk the perimeter, let them see you. As they moved through the room, the inmates backed away. Some returned to their cells voluntarily. Others moved to the far side of the common area. None would meet the humans' eyes directly. They're afraid of us, Olivia said quietly. All of them. It made no sense. Many of these aliens were larger than humans. Some had natural weapons, claws, teeth, or toxic spines. Yet, they acted like frightened animals around the 3 humans. Near the end of their patrol, they came across a situation. 2 large inmates were facing each other aggressively. One was a massive reptilian being with scales that shifted color from green to red as it growled. The other was even bigger, a creature with thick fur and 4 muscular arms, each ending in sharp claws. Draconian and Vormaxian, Krell identified them. Both species are highly territorial. This could get violent. Before Krell could call for backup, Gregory stepped forward. Something inside him, some instinct from his military days, took over. Stop, he said firmly. His translator carried his voice to the aliens. Both massive creatures turned to look at him. The reptilian one hissed, showing rows of sharp teeth. The 4-armed alien flexed its claws. Gregory didn't back down. He looked directly at them, his stance solid and confident. He wasn't afraid, and somehow that made all the difference. To his surprise, both aliens lowered their heads. The reptile's scales faded back to green. The 4-armed creature stepped back. Return to your cells, Gregory said, still calm and firm. Without argument, both dangerous inmates turned and walked away. Krell's crystalline body flickered with light patterns that Gregory couldn't interpret. Remarkable, the assistant warden said. Those two have caused multiple injuries to staff in the past. Both could have torn you apart with minimal effort. Then why did they back down? Daniel asked. That, said Krell, is exactly why you are here. Later in the staff cafeteria, Gregory and his team sat with Kimberly and some of the other humans. They shared their experiences from their first day on duty. It was the same in the medical wing, Kimberly said. The patients became completely cooperative when I was in the room. The doctor told me they've never seen such well-behaved inmates. Something's not right, Gregory said. They're not telling us everything about why we're here. As if on cue, a message came through on their communication devices. All human staff were to report to Warden Zixvoon's office the next morning. Maybe we'll get some answers, Olivia said. Gregory nodded, but he couldn't shake the feeling that their role at Tartarus Station was more complicated than they had been led to believe. The fear in the eyes of the inmates haunted him. What did these aliens see when they looked at humans? He would soon find out. The next morning, all 20 humans gathered in the large office of Warden Zixvoon. The room had a wide window that looked out into space, showing the twin stars that Tartarus Station orbited. The warden stood with his feathered back to them, looking out at the stars. 1 month ago, we lost 6 guards in a single day, the warden said without turning around. 2 days later, we lost 4 more. This had become normal for us. Now the bird-like alien turned to face them. Its feathers shifted colors slightly, moving from deep blue to purple around the edges. Since your arrival 1 week ago, we have not had a single guard injured. Not one. The warden's golden eyes moved from human to human. This is unprecedented. Gregory shifted in his seat. Sir, we've noticed the inmates seem afraid of us, but we don't understand why. Warden Zixvoon made a gesture, and a holographic display appeared in the center of the room. It showed different sections of the prison with humans on patrol. The cameras focused on the inmates' reactions, backing away, lowering their heads, avoiding eye contact. We have studied this effect, the warden said. Our scientists have monitored the physiological responses of inmates when humans are present. Their bodies show all signs of fear response, increased heart rates, stress hormones, fight-or-flight reactions. But why? Asked Kimberly. Many of these inmates are stronger than us. Some could kill a human with minimal effort. The warden clicked its beak twice before answering. We believe it is evolutionary. Most sentient species evolved from prey animals. Their ancient ancestors spent millions of years running from predators. These instincts remain, buried deep in their brains. And humans? Daniel asked, though Gregory suspected they all knew the answer now. Humans evolved as apex predators, persistence hunters. You chased prey until it collapsed from exhaustion, a hunting method almost unique in the galaxy. The warden's feathers rippled. Your movements, your gaze, your very presence triggers deep prey responses in most species. Gregory remembered how the 2 large aliens had backed down when he confronted them. It hadn't been respect or authority that made them retreat. It was fear, instinctive, primal fear. You're using us to scare the inmates into behaving, Olivia said. Her voice was quiet but had an edge to it. We are using your natural abilities to maintain order, the warden corrected, without resorting to more extreme measures. The humans exchanged looks. This explained a lot, but it didn't make any of them feel better about their role. There's something else you should know, the warden continued. We believe certain inmates are planning something. Our intelligence suggests a large-scale uprising may be imminent. Now the warden pulled up images of a particular prisoner, a strange creature that seemed to be made of swirling smoke contained within a roughly humanoid shape. This is Vorkath. It is a psychic entity convicted of causing mass suicides across 3 star systems. It can influence the minds of most species, compelling them to violent acts or self-harm. The warden's voice became grave. It is contained behind special barriers that block its mental abilities, but we have reason to believe it is communicating with other inmates through unknown means. Why tell us this? Gregory asked. Because Vorkath's abilities do not work on humans, the warden explained. Your species has natural mental barriers that most psychic entities cannot penetrate. We need someone to guard this prisoner who cannot be influenced. Gregory Barnes, you are being assigned to the isolation wing where Vorkath is held. Gregory felt a chill run down his spine but nodded his acceptance. The rest of you will continue your current assignments, but be on high alert, the warden instructed. Report anything unusual immediately. As they filed out of the office, Gregory felt uneasy. They were being used as psychological weapons against the inmates, and now he was being sent to guard a creature that could control minds. Later that day, Gregory stood outside the cell of Vorkath in the isolation wing. The cell was different. From others he had seen, the walls were lined with a strange, dull metal and there was no force field. Instead, a solid door with a small window sealed the prisoner inside. Gregory looked through the window. Inside, the smoky figure floated in the center of the cell, tendrils of dark mist curling and uncurling around its core. "I know you're there, human," came a voice that seemed to bypass Gregory's ears and speak directly into his mind. "I've been waiting for you." Gregory didn't respond, but he felt the hair on the back of his neck stand up. "They put you here because I can't get into your mind," the voice continued. "Your species has natural barriers I cannot penetrate. Did you know that makes you unique? But it won't save you when the time comes." Gregory was about to report this communication when alarms began blaring throughout the station. Red emergency lights flashed in the corridor. His communication device crackled. "Multiple cell blocks opening in sections 4 through 9, came Olivia's voice, tense but controlled. "This is a coordinated breach." The prison was in full uprising. Gregory's first instinct was to run to help, but he knew his post was here. If Vorkath escaped, the consequences could be devastating. "It begins," the smoky creature said, something like satisfaction in its voice. "My followers have been planning this for years. Soon this prison will fall, and I will be free." Gregory checked his weapons and prepared for the worst. The isolation wing was deep within the station, away from the main cell blocks. But if the uprising was as coordinated as it seemed, it would only be a matter of time before they reached him. His comm device buzzed again. "Gregory," came Kimberly's voice. "They're avoiding the human guards. Repeat, the escaped inmates are targeting alien guards but avoiding humans. Use that to your advantage." Strange, Gregory thought. Even in open rebellion, the inmates feared humans enough to avoid confronting them. This fear might be their only advantage now. The lights in the corridor flickered. Gregory heard distant sounds of fighting. He stood firm outside Vorkath's cell, determined not to let the dangerous entity escape. "They will come for me," Vorkath warned. "And when they do, your human nature won't save you." Gregory felt something pressing against his mind, not words this time, but a force trying to find a way in. He focused on keeping his thoughts clear, pushing back against the intrusion. "Interesting," the entity said. "Most of your kind have these barriers naturally, but you've been trained to resist mental intrusion. Military, perhaps?" Gregory remained silent, but he was surprised. His Marine training had included techniques to resist interrogation and mental manipulation. He hadn't expected those skills to work against an alien psychic. The pressing against his mind increased, becoming uncomfortable, then painful. Gregory gritted his teeth but held firm. Suddenly, the pressure vanished. "They're here," Vorkath said, simply. And Gregory heard footsteps coming down the corridor. Many footsteps moving quickly. The uprising had reached the isolation wing. Gregory readied himself as the footsteps grew louder. His hand rested on his stun baton, and he stood firmly in front of Vorkath's cell door. If the inmates wanted to free the psychic entity, they would have to go through him first. 6 aliens rounded the corner. They were a mix of species: a tall insectoid with 4 arms, 2 reptilian creatures with scales that shifted colors rapidly, a massive furry being that walked on all 4s, and 2 smaller aliens that moved with surprising speed. All wore prisoner uniforms and carried makeshift weapons. They stopped when they saw Gregory. Despite their numbers and weapons, they hesitated. "Step aside, human," the insectoid said, clicking its mandibles. "We only want the Mindwalker. We have no quarrel with you." Gregory didn't move. "Return to your cells," he said calmly but firmly. "This doesn't have to get violent." The aliens looked at each other. Gregory could see the conflict in their body, language. Their desire to free Vorkath fought against their instinctive fear of the human standing before them. "There are 6 of us," the insectoid said, but its voice wavered. "One of you." "I like those odds," Gregory replied, keeping his voice even. He shifted his stance slightly, settling into a fighter's pose he had learned in the Marines. Something about that simple movement sent a visible wave of unease through the group of aliens. The 2 reptilians stepped back. The furry, 4-legged alien made a low growling sound. "He's just one human," came Vorkath's voice, now audible to everyone. It seemed to seep through the cell door like smoke. "His kind evolved on a Deathworld, yes, but they are not invincible. Take him down, and I will reward you with power beyond your dreams." The alien seemed bolstered by this encouragement. The insectoid raised its makeshift spear. The others tightened their grips on their weapons. Gregory prepared for the fight of his life. Suddenly, from behind the aliens, came a familiar voice. "I wouldn't do that if I were you." Olivia stepped into view, with Daniel right behind her. Both had their stun weapons ready. The aliens were now trapped between 3 humans. Their confidence visibly crumbled. "It's over," Daniel said. "Drop your weapons." To Gregory's relief, the aliens complied. The weapons clattered to the floor. "On your knees, hands behind your heads," Olivia ordered. Again, the aliens obeyed without resistance. Daniel moved forward to secure them with restraints while Olivia kept her weapon trained on the group. "Good timing," Gregory said to his friends. Olivia nodded. "Most of the uprising has been contained. When we heard they were heading for the isolation wing, we figured they were after your prisoner." From his cell, Vorkath made a sound like distant thunder, a growl of frustration. While Daniel took the captured inmates away, Gregory and Olivia remained to guard Vorkath. "The situation in the rest of the prison?" Gregory asked. "Under control," Olivia said. 17 non-human guards were injured, 5 seriously, but not a single human was hurt. She looked troubled by this. "The inmates went out of their way to avoid confronting us. They targeted other species of guards specifically." "They fear us," Gregory said quietly. "Yes, but there's more to it than that," Olivia replied. "Kimberly has been monitoring the security feeds from the control center. She noticed something interesting. In each area where humans intervened, the inmates surrendered quickly. But it wasn't just fear, it was like relief." "Relief?" Gregory frowned. "That doesn't make sense." Their conversation was interrupted when Warden Zixavoon arrived with 4 security officers. The warden's feathers were disheveled, showing streaks of red among the blue, a sign of stress, Gregory had learned. "The main instigators have been captured," the warden reported. "But we have a problem. During the chaos, someone sabotaged our environmental controls. Several sections of the prison are experiencing dangerous fluctuations in temperature, gravity, and atmosphere composition." The warden turned to Gregory. "We need to move Vorkath. This section will become uninhabitable in approximately 30 minutes as the oxygen levels drop." Moving such a dangerous prisoner during a crisis was risky, but they had no choice. Gregory nodded and prepared to help with the transfer. The warden input a complex code on the cell door panel. The heavy door slid open with a hiss. Inside, Vorkath's smoky form seemed to pulse with anticipation. "A special transport chamber has been prepared," the warden explained, pointing to a cylindrical container that the security officers had brought. "It has the same psychic dampening properties as the cell." As they moved to transfer the prisoner, Gregory felt that same pressure against his mind. Vorkath trying to find a way in. But this time it felt different. Weaker somehow. "You're losing your strength," Gregory realized aloud. The smoky entity swirled angrily. "This prison cannot hold me forever, human. My kind existed before your species crawled out of the mud of your Deathworld." With careful coordination, they managed to guide Vorkath into the transport chamber. The moment the container sealed, Gregory felt the mental pressure vanish completely. "Take it to Section 12A, the warden instructed the security team. "That area has independent environmental systems." As the officers left with their dangerous cargo, Gregory and Olivia followed the warden to the control center. The large room was filled with screens showing different parts of the prison. Gregory saw human guards helping injured aliens, securing prisoners, and maintaining order throughout the facility. Kimberly was there, working with the station's technical team to restore the environmental systems. "The damage is serious but repairable," she reported. "We should have most systems back online within 6 hours, but some sections will remain uninhabitable longer." The warden turned to address all the humans present. "Your performance today has exceeded our expectations. Without you, this uprising could have been catastrophic." Gregory wasn't fully satisfied with the praise. "Warden, there's something I don't understand. Vorkath said its followers had been planning this for years. How did they coordinate such a large-scale event?" The warden's feathers shifted to a deep blue. "We believe Vorkath's psychic abilities are more extensive than we realized. Even through our barriers, it may have been able to send simple suggestions to particularly receptive minds. And that's why it couldn't affect us," Olivia said. "Because humans have natural resistance to psychic intrusion." "Precisely," the warden confirmed, "which makes you even more valuable as guards than we initially thought." As the crisis subsided and repair work began, Gregory found himself looking at the humans around him in a new light. Their evolution on a harsh Deathworld had not only made them physically resilient and naturally intimidating to other species, it had also given them mental defenses against threats that most aliens were vulnerable to. But one question still bothered him. "Olivia," he said quietly as they watched the cleanup efforts on the monitors, "you mentioned the inmates showed relief when confronting humans. What did you mean by that?" Olivia's expression was thoughtful. I think they wanted to be stopped. Not all of them, but many, as if they were being compelled to participate in the uprising against their will." Gregory remembered Vorkath's weakened attempt to enter his mind. "Mind control," he whispered. "The uprising wasn't their idea at all." The realization sent a chill through him. Just how powerful was Vorkath? And were there other entities like it in the prison? The answers would have to wait. For now, they had a prison to secure. 6 months had passed since the failed uprising at Tartarus Station. The prison had changed in many ways during that time. Human guards now made up nearly half of the security force. Gregory had been promoted to security chief, and Kimberly served as special advisor to Warden Zix Voon on inmate psychology and rehabilitation. Gregory sat in his new office, reviewing reports on his screen. The door chimed and Olivia entered. She had also been promoted, now leading the rapid response team. "More visitors arriving today," she said, taking a seat across from him. "Another prison wants to recruit humans for their security force." Gregory nodded. This had become common. Word had spread across the galaxy about the success at Tartarus. Prisons everywhere wanted human guards now. "That makes the 5th prison this month," he said. Earth went from being an unknown backwater to the most sought-after source of security personnel in the galaxy. Olivia smiled slightly. Not bad for a bunch of Deathworlders. Over the past months, they had learned more about how the galaxy viewed humans. Many alien species had evolved on gentle worlds with few predators and mild climates. Their bodies and minds were adapted for cooperation and peaceful living. Humans, by contrast, had evolved on a harsh world filled with dangers. Their bodies could withstand conditions that would kill most aliens. Their minds were wired for constant vigilance and quick response to threats. What humans saw as normal behavior, many aliens perceived as intimidating or predatory. The door chimed again, and Daniel entered with Kimberly. "The new rehabilitation program is showing promising results," Kimberly reported. "Recidivism rates are down 23% in just the first 6 months. This was Kimberly's project, using human understanding of psychology to create better rehabilitation programs for inmates. Rather than just containing prisoners, Tartarus was now helping them prepare for eventual return to society and security." "Incidents?" Gregory asked. Down 82% since we implemented the new patrol protocols, Daniel answered. He had helped design a system where human and alien guards worked in mixed teams, combining the natural authority of humans with the specialized knowledge of alien staff. Their meeting was interrupted by an alert on Gregory's screen. He frowned as he read it. Environmental alert in Section 3. Radiation shielding is failing. He looked up at his team. The binary stars are in active phase right now. If that shielding goes completely, they didn't need him to finish. The radiation from the twin stars would flood that section of the prison, killing everyone exposed. How many inmates? Olivia asked, already standing. 212, Gregory replied, plus 17 staff members. They moved quickly, calling in all available personnel as they headed toward the affected area. By the time they reached Section 3, emergency protocols were already in effect. Red warning lights flashed, and a computerized voice repeated evacuation instructions in multiple languages. Warden Zixvoon met them at the security checkpoint. The warden's feathers were bright red with alarm. The main shielding array has failed, the warden explained. Backup systems are only at 40% capacity and failing. We have less than 30 minutes to evacuate everyone. Gregory assessed the situation quickly. We need to move over 200 inmates to secure areas without causing panic. Some of these inmates are extremely dangerous, the warden warned. They may see this as an opportunity to escape or take hostages. Gregory turned to his team. Olivia, coordinate the evacuation routes. Daniel, organize security teams at all checkpoints. Kimberly, work with medical to prepare for potential radiation exposure cases. As his team moved to their tasks, Gregory entered Section 3 with the first wave of guards. The situation inside was tense but not yet chaotic. Most inmates were following evacuation procedures, moving in orderly lines toward the exits. Alien staff members were visibly nervous, some showing signs of panic. Steady pace, Gregory called. Out, his voice calm and authoritative. Keep moving toward the exits. Everyone will get out safely if we maintain order. His presence had an immediate effect. The inmates' movements became more organized and even the staff seemed calmer. The evacuation was proceeding well until an alarm sounded in subsection 3C. Structural failure in 3C, reported a security officer through Gregory's comm device. The ceiling is collapsing. 24 inmates and 2 staff members are trapped. Gregory redirected his team immediately. When they reached subsection 3C, they found a grim situation. Part of the ceiling had collapsed, blocking the main exit. Beyond the rubble, they could hear voices calling for help. Radiation levels were rising rapidly in this area. The monitoring device on Gregory's armor showed dangerous readings. The alien guards can't go in there, Olivia said quietly. The radiation levels are already too high for most species. Gregory nodded. One of the advantages of evolving on Earth was that humans had better natural resistance to radiation than many alien species. Their suits would provide additional protection. We go in, he decided. Daniel, Olivia, with me. The rest secure this area. The 3 humans pushed through the partially collapsed doorway into subsection 3C. Inside, they found a group of inmates, huddled together. Some were injured from falling debris. 2 alien staff members lay unconscious, being tended to by inmates. What struck Gregory most was that these inmates, some of the most dangerous criminals in the galaxy, were helping each other. One large reptilian being was supporting a smaller injured inmate. Another was trying to clear debris from a secondary exit. Help is here, Gregory announced. We're going to get everyone out. An inmate stepped forward. A tall, crystalline being that Gregory recognized as a notorious smuggler serving a 30-year sentence. The other exit is blocked too, the inmate reported calmly. And the radiation will reach fatal levels for most species in approximately 12 minutes. Gregory and his team worked quickly, setting up emergency force field generators to create a protective corridor back to the main exit. Daniel began clearing the debris with help from some of the stronger inmates. Olivia organized the evacuation priority, with the most radiation-vulnerable species first. As they worked, Gregory noticed something unexpected. The inmates weren't attempting to escape or cause trouble. They were cooperating fully, even helping with the rescue effort. Why are you helping us? Gregory asked the crystalline inmate as they lifted a heavy beam together. The inmate's faceted surface reflected the emergency lights as it turned to look at him. Because you came back for us, it said simply. Most species would have sealed this section and left us to die. But humans go back into danger for others, even for those society has rejected. With time running out, they managed to create an escape route. One by one, the trapped inmates and staff were evacuated through the force field corridor. Gregory and his team were the last to leave, just as their radiation monitors reached critical levels. In the aftermath, as medical teams treated the injured, Warden Zix Voon approached Gregory. Today confirmed what I have come to believe about humans, the warden said, feathers now a calm blue. When we first recruited your kind, we wanted you for the fear you instill in others. But we've discovered something far more valuable. The warden gestured toward the rescued inmates, many of whom were looking at the human guards with what could only be described as respect. Your species understands something fundamental about justice that many of our civilizations have forgotten, the warden continued. True security comes not just from fear of consequences, but from a system that values all life, even the lives of those who have transgressed against society. In the years that followed, humans became essential to galactic peacekeeping, not just as guards but as reformers of a system that had relied too heavily on containment rather than rehabilitation. Their Deathworld origin, once viewed with suspicion, was now recognized as the crucible that forged humanity's unique balance of strength and compassion. And across the galaxy, when new prisons were constructed, the first staff recruited were always humans, not just because inmates feared them, but because the galaxy had learned what humans had known throughout their bloody history. Those who understand darkness best are often the most determined to create light.